You surface from the underground at Piccadilly Circus.
Mind the gap.
Making your way through the glittering lights of London's West End, you take a turn down a quaint-looking street into the notorious neighborhood of Soho, and you arrive at our intimate cafe.
Welcome to the Big Smoke Holiday Edition! My name is Kevin Bennett, and this is Christmas Cheese and Reindeer Games. Now, just like Fezziwig's Ball in the Dickens classic A Christmas Carol, all great Christmas soirees have music, storytelling, games, and good food. But let's start with a tradition that Tom Smith began in 1847. He took a trip to Paris where he discovered the bonbon, a sugared almond wrapped in a twist of colored paper with a love motto included in the little parcel, which is the Christmas cracker. So before we go ahead and crack our crackers, grab those crackers in your hands in front of you. Before you open them, what we're gonna do is you're gonna open them and we're gonna give you probably 1 minute to discuss with your tables, put on your crown, and basically read out finding the jokes inside. Yeah, get them ready as we go. Now, in line with this evening's special guest, your first task is to find the cheesiest joke and nominate someone from your table to read it. So the cheesiest joke in your table. Okay, so I'll grab our crackers and count to 3, and then you're gonna be finding the cheesiest joke. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, so let's hear the front row. Okay, so this is vying for cheesiest joke. Here we go.
Why do vampires seem sick all the time?
Why do they?
Because they're always coughing.
Oh, okay, vampires cough. Let's hear another one. We've got another cheesiest joke.
What do you call a line of rabbits jumping backwards?
What do you call a line of rabbits jumping backwards? Tell us.
A receding hairline.
Oh, I think that's pretty good. Okay, we've got one over here.
Would you like to hear a joke about pizza?
Yeah, we would.
It's a little bit cheesy.
Oh, nice.
Why do bees have sticky hair?
Why do bees have sticky hair?
Because they use honeycombs.
Oh, nice. One more.
What did the bunny say to the carrot?
What did the bunny say to the carrot? Tell us.
It's been nice knowing you.
It's been nice knowing you. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Today's episode is our Christmas special. What are your unique and quirky holiday traditions?
Hi, I'm Bonnie, and my crazy Christmas tradition in my family is fancy dress Boxing Day, where the theme is a country. So we all have Christmas dinner on Christmas Day, and then my dad puts on a Boxing Day bash in addition, which is themed around a country. So this year's going to be Japan. The food will be Japanese, the costumes will be Japanese, the drinks will be Japanese, and the music will be Japanese. So over the years we've done Italian, and all the women in the family went as 5 different stages of Madonna. We've done Greek. I went as Medusa. There was Dionysius. There was loads of togas, and basically it escalates pretty quickly. And there's photographic evidence of this.
Hello, my name's Fiona, and I am 36 years old. But what I really love at Christmas is that my mum and dad have kept the same sacks that they used when me and my brother were children, and to this day she still gives me my presents in the sack. And then we've also got our stockings, which are kind of reindeers, and they have chocolates and goodies inside as well.
So my name is Mar. My family, we are a really big family from south of Spain, and every Christmas we do something called the 3 Wise Men of England, and this is because You know the Three Wise Men tradition in Spain on the 6th of January? Of course, I am never there at that time. So we have to identify a random time somewhere at Christmas so we can all get together. So we made up this thing about the Three Wise Men of England that they write a letter to and they come and bring presents. So we all, on that day, we have a particular room where we do like piles of gifts. And everybody in the family make a long queue in order of age. And then we open the double doors and we all go in. So that's our family tradition.
Hello, I'm Sophie, and I am 33, and at the age of 30, my younger sister still bursts into my room at 6 in the morning to tell me that he's been. That's about it.
Okay, hi, I'm Cheryl. I'm here from Vancouver, Canada, to see this wonderful podcast live, and our family tradition is every year we get together with cousins and little ones, all the way from newborn up to 90-year-olds. We gather together at a ski mountain, and we sit and chat and stay together for about 3 days. And so you really get a chance to then really get to know people who you don't see throughout the rest of the year, some of them. Unfortunately, COVID cut that short, and now we are trying to get that back, and hopefully next year we'll have everyone back together again.
Hi, my name's Cait Roddam Jones, and we've got quite a few things that we do at Christmas that are unique to us. We always have little roast ham and have roast ham rolls on Christmas Eve, which we look forward to. And we do always play charades, but we always tend to do the same stuff. So I always do Jaws, and my sister always does the same films as well. So we know what's coming, but it's very cute.
My name's Susan, and we always make our own Christmas crackers. I'm completely against all the plastic shit that goes into normal ones. So we sit down as a family. It's very wholesome. It's the one wholesome day of the year. And we craft beautiful and hilarious Christmas crackers with a joke, a fun fact, and a gift. And it's nice. And it's fun.
I think it's time to dig a little bit deeper into why we do the things we do at Christmas. So I actually had a little chat with Caroline Taggart, the author of this new book, The Philosophy of Christmas. And she had a little conversation with me about putting this together, and she put together a little Christmas quiz just for us, just for this event, just for this podcast. So this book is all about where the Christmas traditions come from. Let me read you a little bit of the beginning. It sounds as if it should be easy. Christmas. It's a mass for Christ, specifically a church service to celebrate his birth. It's a major festival in the Christian calendar held on the 25th of December. No problem. But there's more to it than that. There's the 4-week period called Advent before you get to the day itself, and the famous 12 days of Christmas afterwards, culminating in Epiphany, 12th night, the Feast of Kings at the beginning of January. And that's just the barest of outlines of what has become a worldwide excuse for decorating houses, churches, and public buildings, getting together with friends and family, exchanging presents, eating, drinking too much, and wandering from house to house singing carols. Not to mention watching It's a Wonderful Life or Bad Santa 2 on television. Again. We all do it. We eat foods we don't think about at any other time of the year. We pull crackers. We wear the paper hats that come out of them. We send cards, decorate trees, and we leave food and drink for an elf who's going to come down the chimney to bring us presents. It's so universal that New Zealanders, for whom the 25th of December may well be the hottest day of the year, and who rarely see snow away from the ski slopes, think wistfully of white Christmases. And that the almost entirely non-Christian Japanese have adopted their very own special Christmas menu. So why do we do it? Where do all these odd customs, from eating Brussels sprouts to forming part of a rowdy audience at a pantomime, come from? Let's see and find out. Okay, we're going to do a little quiz here, see how much you know about these traditions. First one is, we'll start nice and easy. Okay, this one will be true or false. Okay, we'll do it by cheer. So true or false, listen carefully. In Dickens' Christmas Carol, after Scrooge's transformation from miserly, cold-hearted man to someone filled with the Christmas spirit of kindness and charity, he sends the Cratchit family a large goose. Give us a cheer if you think that is true. Give us a cheer if you think that is false. People who cheer, why do you think that's false? What do you think, Cait?
It's a big turkey. It's
It is in fact a big turkey, not a goose, causing it to be a feature of British Christmas dinners forevermore. So it was very popular for it to be a Christmas goose up until around this time when it became popular for a turkey. Let's try, oh, that one was harder than I thought. Let's do another true or false. Okay, true or false? Santa's reindeer and the sleigh they pull are American creations. Give us a cheer if you think that is true. Give us a cheer if you think that is false. It is in fact true. Santa's reindeer and the sleigh they pull are American creations. The first mention being in a book called The Children's Friend, A New Year's Present to the Little Ones from 5 to 12 in 1821. This anonymous poem tells us that old Santa Claus, with much delight, his reindeer drives this frosty night, o'er chimney tops and tracks of snow, to bring the yearly gifts to you. There's an illustration in the book, so we know there's only one reindeer in the illustration. The idea of a team and their names comes from a better-known poem called A Visit from St. Nicholas, which appeared 2 years later. Now, this is the one that begins, "'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse." All right, not bad, not bad. Okay, we're doing okay. Take another sip of that mulled wine. Let's try another one. So this one's going to take, it's a trivia question, so you have to discuss it with your team. Find your little team. Historically, servants and tradespeople would often receive what on the 26th of December? Servants and tradespeople would receive what on December 26th? Anyone in the back think they know?
I wondered if it might be that they put the unwanted gifts into a box and then they went round to people's houses.
Very good, very good. So we the answer in here is that their Christmas bonus or box, okay, likely dates from the Middle Ages, where churches open their charity collection boxes the day after Christmas to distribute to the poor. So yes, a bonus or a box that they would put together. Very good, very good. Okay, let's try this one. I think is interesting. Which plant, commonly seen at Christmas, has often been banned from churches? What do you think?
It's just a guess, but I think it might be mistletoe.
Oh!
They didn't like the snogging.
Give her a round of applause. I'm going to read you a little bit about mistletoe from this because it's quite interesting. It goes back a long time. The early Celts regarded mistletoe as a sacred healing plant that could be gathered only by a druid using a golden sickle. But it was also said to be poisonous, and according to Norse mythology, it was responsible for the death of the god Baldur. So this plant inflicted Baldur with a deadly wound. When all the creatures of the earth were weeping at the loss of Baldur, their tears were collected and placed on the plant, where they transformed into its creamy, pearl-like berries. This apparently rid mistletoe of its poisonous properties, but can still give you a nasty stomach upset if you eat it, so it's probably best not to put that to the test. Now, one version of the Baldur story has the gods resurrecting him from the dead, and his mother, the goddess Frigg, forgiving the mistletoe and decreeing that it would henceforth be a symbol of love and peace. For centuries, tradition demanded that enemies who met under the mistletoe, or under the oak tree on which it grew, postponed any hostilities until the following day. Sometimes they even kissed, as a gesture of goodwill. It's from this story and many variations on it that we get the idea that kissing under the mistletoe will bring good luck for the following year. But mistletoe's pagan associations and sexual, or at least romantic, overtones have often led to it being excluded from church decorations. Interestingly, that's an idea that seems to have taken root in the 19th century. All right, we've got 2 more questions here. Let's see. This one's multiple choice. The word Advent comes from Latin, meaning, I'll give you 4 options. A, celebration. B, light. C, arrival. Or D, journey. Who wants to give us the answer to that?
Arrival.
It is in fact arrival. That was easier than I thought it would be. I thought that would be a difficult one. Okay, this is our last question, everybody. The ancient Roman midwinter festival, which has lots of overlap with the way we celebrate Christmas, honored which god? This is multiple choice. A, Jupiter, king of the gods, god of the sky and thunder. B, Saturn, god of harvest, prosperity, liberation, and renewal. C, Vesta, goddess of the hearth, home, and family. Or D, Apollo, god of the sun, music, poetry, and healing. Who wants to tell us? What do you think? Is it A, Jupiter, B, Saturn, C, Vesta, or D, Apollo? Anyone in this table? What did you guess up here?
It's the Saturnalia.
That would be Saturn. Give them a round of applause. So I'll give you a little bit of background on this I find quite interesting. So long before Christianity came into being, some 2,000 years ago, the people of Europe worshipped other gods and celebrated other festivals. One of the most important of those took place at midwinter, when the days are at their shortest. Why not light a few fires, eat and drink something warming, and create a festival of light to brighten up the darkness? That is effectively what the ancient Romans did, and, as a part of a separate tradition, the pagans of Northern Europe too. The Roman festival was called Saturnalia, after the god Saturn. Back in the mists of time, Saturn ruled over Italy in what became known as a golden age of peace, prosperity, and goodwill. The midwinter festival held in his honor was one of general benevolence. When no public business was carried out, war could not be declared, criminal executions were postponed, and slaves were waited upon by their masters. By the 1st century CE, Saturnalia had expanded its remit to become a time of gaudy dressing, present-giving, heavy drinking, and wild partying. The days may have been short, but that meant the nights were long, and no holds were barred. Yo Saturnalia, or Happy Saturnalia, was the general greeting and the general excuse for any sort of misbehavior. That is the philosophy of Christmas quiz, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. Is a cheese consultant and author, also known as the Cheese Explorer. Her first book, The Cheese Wheel, is a guide to the flavors found in cheeses and the best drinks to pair with them. Emma has 15 years of experience in all aspects of the cheese industry, as well as being an international cheese judge and a teacher in both France and the UK. Please give a warm welcome to Emma Young as she comes to the stage. Now, as you start salivating over the beginning of the cheese that's going to start being handed out now, I think, by Alex and his team, try, if you can, not to sneak any, because we're going to be led through the proper way to taste the cheese. But we're going to get to know Emma a little bit while they're handing this out. Emma, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I have some questions to ask you. The first one is, you're called a cheese consultant, which is an interesting title. Tell us, how does one become a cheese consultant?
One makes up their own job title to become a cheese consultant. So it's not actually a real job, but I have made it. So I have, as Kevin has already explained, worked in the cheese industry through various remits over the last 15 years, even though I look about 16. So I have worked to become a cheese consultant. It's not really a job. So I started working in lots of elements. I've made cheese. I have run wholesale companies. I have been an international judge, as you said. And just before COVID, I decided to start my own company, because I identified there was there was a gap for people who worked in cheese in retail or cheese making to hire someone as a sort of project basis, where I could come in, dot in, help them find some routes to market, help them boost their sales for a little bit, and then go off like Nanny McPhee. So
Tell us a little bit about what's your favorite part of doing this kind of job?
So it involves a lot of speaking to different types of people. So I work down the professional side with cheese retailers and with cheese professionals, but I really, really enjoy training people on how to taste, how to talk about cheese, how to well, we know how to eat cheese. You put it in your face. That's how you eat cheese. But at the same time, what are we doing? What are we tasting? Why are we tasting it? So my favourite part of the job is to get people enthused about cheese, or to find out a bit more about why they actually like it.
Can I ask you a cheese history question?
Go on.
I mean, I know nothing about cheese, but the question just is, what is the history of cheese?
That's quite vague.
When does it begin?
Long time ago. So
or I guess maybe what are the first appearances in print that it's talked about, or?
So print, definitely. I mean, there's lots of talk about Cheshire cheese being in the Doomsday Book. That's sort of a bit of a myth, but there are lots of actual findings of terracotta pots in Egypt, in the Middle East, a lot of traces of dairy, but not just dairy, fermented dairy, a long sort of time ago, all around the Fertile Crescent. So there's a lot of different places which made cheese to start with, and it was all to preserve milk, so to preserve a fresh product, to make it last for longer without refrigeration.
Now, you travel. One of the things that's unique about you is that you know, on Instagram, you're called the Cheese Explorer. Look her up. And she goes all over the world traveling. So what's maybe one of the most interesting or surprising things you've learned in terms of your international cheese life?
Got a couple of answers. So first one is, I've been very, very fortunate to help people open cheese shops in some countries where you wouldn't quite expect a cheese culture to be there. So I opened a cheese shop in Saudi Arabia, which was very interesting in that they really like to follow trends from Europe, from the continent. Saudi Arabia was quite bizarre. I went to Bermuda to help open a cheese shop there as well. There's one cheesemaker on the island who made goat's cheeses, but what's really interesting for me is seeing cheeses made from milks which you wouldn't quite expect. So the general three are cow, goat and sheep. And buffalo is the fourth, but I've tried cheese from camel milk, from jument, which is a female horse, mixture of horse and goat's milk. That's quite irregular. Yak's milk, so that's always quite fascinating. And cheese made with pig rennet.
What is rennet? Sorry, I don't know. Tell us.
So rennet is the coagulant in cheese. So a coagulant is the enzyme added into cheese to turn it from liquid milk into a solid. So it speeds up the process to essentially turn cheese into curds and whey. So rennet traditionally comes from an animal, but there are also microbial and vegetarian rennets these days. So pig rennet is incredibly rare. But I've tried that in Italy. It's quite something.
We're going deep into
We've started quite quickly.
Okay, I think we're almost ready to get to the
back,
tasting, but I had one more question.
Tell
This
me.
might be an odd question, but are there any common misconceptions or things that you just wish people knew about cheese that they don't know? If they only knew.
I think my favourite is always when people who are lactose intolerant realise they can have cheese. So that's my favourite, because when you make a cheese, you are converting milk. So you're converting the lactose, the sugar in milk, into lactic acid. So by merit of making a cheese, you are removing the lactose. So I have lots of people who come to me and they're, I can't eat cheese, I'm lactose intolerant. However, that production method removes lactose, and the more aged a cheese gets. So we've got did you all try the cheese at the beginning, the Pecorino Romano? That is actually marketed as lactose free because it's so aged, it has so little moisture content that it actually does not contain any trace elements of lactose.
We're going to talk about your book in a minute,
Yeah.
but I think we're ready for you to lead us through. So how does one taste cheese, I guess, is the beginning.
Yeah. So has anyone been to a wine tasting? Yeah. It's pretty similar. And has anyone been to a cheese tasting? Yes, no. So it's very similar. What we're doing when we are tasting cheese is we are looking at several aspects. We are looking at it visually to start with. So is there anything we can determine visually to start with? So when we look at this, it is yellow. It has holes.
I should mention for the listeners at home, if you're listening at home, feel free to go to your fridge and grab any cheese.
Absolutely, yes. So
any cheese that you have in the fridge.
Any cheese in your fridge. This could be Baby Bell, other cheeses available.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
You can play along at home. Very good. Okay, we're
It's
looking at
actually
our
really
cheese.
fun to do with something which is a little bit more sort of mainstream. I like to do with Baby Bell. So the first thing we're looking at is the visual. So it is yellow. It has holes. So two things I can deduce as an expert, but I'll share with you now.
So many people are bringing it just dangerously close to their mouths.
I mean, this is exactly why we gave you cheese at the beginning, because I always feel bad. It's like, can you stop talking and just let us eat the cheese now? The yellow aspect for me means that it is cow's milk. So goat and sheep's milk cheeses are generally quite white.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So what happens, the difference between those and cow's milk is that cows absorb carotene in the grass. So that gives a yellow colour. It comes out in the milk. Whereas goats and sheep do not process carotene. So it is expelled in the milk and it doesn't come out in a yellow colour. So yellow kind of means cow. It doesn't always, but we can think it might be cow. Holes in the cheese, very interesting. They are irregular sized holes. It looks a bit like cartoon sort of mouse cheese, doesn't it? The next thing we're going to do is to smell it. When we're smelling a cheese, what we're looking at is, what we're smelling is it intense? Do you have to put it right up your nostril? Can you smell it outside the venue?
Not too strong, I would say, with this one. Nice kind of...
Yeah.
I don't smell it until I get it pretty close to my nose.
Exactly. There are other cheeses we will have later where you will be able to smell them quite early on. However, with this one, you do have to put it quite close to your nose, which means...
How many people in the group have already taken a bite? Show yourselves. Admit it. I can see it. That's okay. Very
They are
good.
my people at the back. There we go.
You can't... You've got no discipline. No discipline. Very good.
We're nearly on tasting. We're nearly there.
Nearly there.
We've smelt it. The other
Mine's
thing...
up my nose all the way.
Snorting it. So what we're doing is we are also smelling for any off notes. Does it smell tasty? Does it smell like you want to eat it, or does it smell like you want to put it in the bin? Do we want to eat it? Yeah, okay, fine. Good. All right, next thing, put it in your mouth.
The whole thing?
Yeah. It's up to you. Generally, a little bit is quite good, and we're looking at two things here. We're feeling the mouthfeel. So how does it feel in the palate? Is it gritty? Is it smooth? Is it rubbery? And also we're tasting the cheese now. So do we like it? What does it taste like?
I would say it's a quite mild taste. It tastes good, but it's quite mild. Not a big flavor profile. Is
Absolutely.
that the right word?
So the reason I've chosen this cheese to start with is because we don't want to kill our palate immediately. So when you're tasting cheese, you generally want to taste it in strength order, because if you start with a really strong blue, it's quite difficult to come back and taste everything else. I don't really have any restraint, so I might go straight to the blue, but with this one we only have 2 on our plate for now. So it is quite simple in flavour. It's quite sweet, it's quite nutty. Does anyone know what this cheese might be? It's a very good guess. I would also blind say it was an Emmental, but it is actually a Dutch cheese called Maasdam. Whoa. It is the same style as an Emmental. So whoever said Emmental, yeah, it is basically the same style. And what that means is it is a sweet, nutty, huge cheese with holes in, and those holes are actually the result of the byproduct of a bacteria, a good one, that is introduced into this cheese called propionic bacteria. And one of the things it does is to emit some gas and make these gas bubbles and inflate and engorge. That's a bit weird.
Does it do it inside you once you've eaten it? I feel like cheese.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think so, but now I want to experiment and eat loads of Maasdam. I don't think so, no. It's already done. It's fermented. It's created these holes. But it's a simple cheese. It's supposed to be quite sort of, I call these session cheeses. You can eat a lot of it without thinking too hard. Like fog eating, like that. Did you like it? Yeah, you can dislike it. I don't mind. It is very simple. It's very sweet and nutty, and that's sort of it.
What do you recommend in terms of cracker portionage here?
So for this one, as a session cheese, I wouldn't really put it with a cracker. It would be nice maybe with a cracker chutney combination, because you have some chutney on your tables as well. I wouldn't generally chutney with this because it's quite a simple cheese in that it doesn't have much structure, but it makes a banging toasty. And a toasty needs a chutney.
Now, Before we move on to the
Whoa.
next...
Wait, hold on.
I agree. I like a chutney.
No, hold on. I don't think the room agreed. Who does not like chutney with their toasties? Oh.
Scream. No.
There we go. Do you have anything else with your toasty or just naked toasty? Just cheese. Mustard's a good shout. I like this.
She has written the book on cheese, people.
It's not on cheese toasties.
I know, but it's a cheese adjacent thing. Can you just review for us the steps of tasting?
Yeah.
So if you're listening at home,
Yeah.
you can just kind of like, these are the steps if I want to taste my cheese.
Yeah. So as Kevin's just said, with any cheese you can do the same thing. The first is to look at it visually. Does it look appealing? Does it look slightly green and slimy? If it does, don't put it in your face. If it looks accessible and tasty, put it next to your nose. The next stage is the aroma. What does it smell like? So we're looking at intensity, close to your nose, very, very low intensity, far away from nose, higher intensity. And then we're looking at the mouthfeel in the mouth. We're seeing how it sits. Is it granular? Is it smooth? How does it feel? And then all the flavour profiles and the length as well.
Should we move on to cheese too?
I think
Let's
so.
do it. Okay, what do we do?
So cheese number 2, we don't need to do the same steps for every cheese because we want to enjoy it. We're having a nice time. But if you think about these steps, I'm not going to talk you through each one. But this cheese is very, very different in style. Do the same thing. Have a look, have a smell, have a taste. But what I'd like to know is how you find the flavour. It is very, very particular. Give it a minute. You can eat the rind on this one. So a question I get asked a lot is, can you eat the rind? So with soft cheeses and semi-hard cheeses like this one, the rind is supposed to be eaten as part of the flavour. But if you don't like the rind, don't eat it.
So for the listener at home, this is softer, a bit whiter, I would say.
Absolutely.
Kind of creamy, it feels. I like this one a lot. I like it more. But part of it, I think, is the consistency I like. There's something about like just the cream kind of melting in your mouth of this one that is really tasty.
So as well, for the listener at home, this one has a very orange rind. So orange can indicate a couple of things. It generally means that the style is what we call a washed rind. And a washed rind is a cheese which has had the outside washed in either water, brine, alcohol, or a mixture. This one is just brine. And what happens when you wash the outside of a cheese is you're creating a surface, you're creating an environment which gives a specific flavour and aroma, which is quite pungent, slightly animal, slightly almost no, I'm not going to say that.
No, say it.
Yeah, absolutely. So whoever said feet, correct. This orangey pink bacteria, are we going down here? We're going down here. The orangey pink bacteria is something that's completely natural. It's edible. It's called Brevibacterium linens, and it is the same bacteria you find on your feet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Happy Christmas. There you go.
The second bite is a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's still good, though. It's still good.
So this cheese is an Italian cheese. It's called taleggio. Did you get, yeah?
Did you guess?
Middle
nice
table
job.
winning.
We had someone I think they need a cheese prize.
I think they do. So this is a cow's milk cheese again. It's from sort of Piemonte. It's from the best food part of Italy with all the truffles, the Barolo, the cheeses like this and Gorgonzola. And it is slightly stinky, but it is not too intense. It's quite yogurty, slightly sour. And also makes a really good toasty.
Oh, you know what? I was joking about the second bite, but actually, it is like the second and third bite I let kind of sit in my mouth longer. Not to do with the feet. It's not my thing. I promise.
No judgment.
But it's, I don't know, maybe it's just stronger. It's sitting there. I could, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what's interesting? You're talking about like what it tastes like. Are both these cheeses in your book, by the way?
1, 2. Maasdam is not. Emmental is. Taleggio is in the book. Yes. Yeah.
This one, yeah.
Yep.
The one we're just trying is in Emma Young's book, The Cheese Wheel. And the thing I like about this book is basically you can flip to any page, and there's a cheese, a description of the cheese. It's quite funny, very witty, and in the beginning, however, you talk about flavors, which we're talking about now. We're talking about the good and bad of the things that it reminds you of. So one of the things you say in the very beginning of the book is, I like to think about flavor and aroma in memories. This is how our brain processes them, and this is how I remember them. And I guess I would love to hear a little bit more about that, and also if you have specific memories related to taste and cheese that you would be willing to share with us.
Absolutely. So flavor is a combination of sort of taste and aroma, but it is related to our olfactory memory. So as much as it's very romantic saying that I really like to remember it is actually related to our memories. I do, and I'm sure the room might have some examples too, have some very, very distinct memories of taste from when I was a child. And I think that's why we have lots of possibly sometimes guilty pleasures in terms of nostalgic food, because it's something we remember and it's something we relate to in a really nice way from when we were young. So one of the things I did mention in the book is there's a cheese called Tome de Savoie, which is a semi-hard cheese from France, from the Savoie in the mountains. There's another cheese called Beaufort made in the same region. And it sometimes gives a bit of a strawberry element. And for me, it was not just a specific strawberry. Well, I mean, it wasn't a fresh strawberry. It was very much strawberry laces, which reminded me of the sweets that I used to eat in between band practice when I was young. So it's a very lovely sort of nostalgic memory, but that's how we relate to flavour, and it's how I remember things, and how I teach is to relate it to something that we may have tasted that's not that cheese.
So when you're tasting, when you get to the stage, when you're describing it, are you starting to describe memories and things that it reminds you of?
Depends who you're talking to. So it can be quite pretentious. It reminds me of a strawberry lace.
This reminds me of my foot.
Exactly. So generally I try to keep it slightly removed, but then there are very specific flavours and aromas that I can relate to in that strawberry lace at band practice kind of element.
What's the most unusual one off the top of your head in here?
Most unusual?
Just in terms of this reminds me of, whether it's a memory or just something in general.
Oh gosh.
There was one, I'll say, I don't remember where it is.
Oh, it's Parai, isn't it?
There's one where the description is a gym locker room.
Oh. There's gym locker rooms. There's also, sorry guys, I'm really sorry. Like,
it's just
supposed
the truth.
To be festive.
It's just the truth.
There was Parai as well, which is it's a soft sheep's milk cheese from Aveyron, so the same region as Roquefort. And I think I wrote, if you like Parai, you'll like licking barnyard animals.
God, I love that one.
But in a nice way, in a clean barnyard. So
I only do it in a nice way.
There's a big difference between clean and dirty barn. And it's sweet hay or ammonia and other things. But yeah, I think that there's some very specific things that we may not want to go into in this podcast. You know.
Tell us, maybe for later, what was your favorite book when you were a kid?
Matilda by Roald Dahl.
There's another one that I'm fishing for. I don't know if I read it in your book or it's a picture book.
A picture book when I was younger. Aesop's Fables? No, go on.
It was a picture book of cheese. I think it's in your book.
Oh yeah, no, that one. I love that too. There's a Dorling Kindersley French cheese book. So it was my father's book that he had on the bookshelf for, well, I remember since I was a kid, and I looked at it like a picture book. So I looked at it, oh, this is very interesting. Look at the cheese. So I wonder whether that was possibly a trigger, not a trigger, in a nice way trigger, possibly a starting point for my interest in cheese.
I just love this. On the very first page, you say, as a child, my favorite book was an illustrated guide to French cheeses. I looked at it as a picture book until I could read, and then when I learned to read, we took it on our family holidays, and I referenced it like a veritable cheesy train spotter. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, and I still do have that book, and it's quite interesting because a lot of those cheeses are now extinct. But there are some which have evolved and some which were made by a specific cheesemaker which just haven't had someone succeed them. So yeah, I still love the book.
Last question, just when we can get into this in the second half as well. Where would you begin if you were to think of these cheeses, what you might pair in terms of what you might drink with it?
These two specifically?
Yeah, maybe these two.
So with pairing in general, it doesn't have to be alcohol. It can be any drink. It can be an accompaniment as well. But we look at two aspects. It's either the complement or the contrast. So the complement is to match intensity, to match structure. If you've got something really, really strong, like a big blue, you want to make sure you have quite a full-bodied wine or something with a lot of structure so it doesn't get hidden. Or you can go for the contrast where you have something, again, like a blue, but you pair it with something really sweet, like a dessert wine. So you're doing this salty-sweet combination. So for these two specifically, I mean, the first one, I've got absolutely no idea what I would pair with that because it's so simple in flavour. You could pair it with anything, and I don't think it would help the cheese. It wouldn't elevate either thing.
It's a lost cause.
It's not a lost cause, but I don't think it's the best pairer. Whereas with the taleggio, you can go down a sort of well, it's quite good to do what grows together goes together. So maybe a Nebbiolo, something from around the region, a slightly lower tannin red wine. But to be honest, if I could drink anything every day, if I had no budget issues, I would drink champagne with every cheese because it works really well.
All right.
Champagne and cheese.
Nice. Very good.
Need a sponsor for that, though.
We're going to hear more from Emma, and we're going to have more cheeses in the second half. But let's give Emma a round of applause for the first half. Thank you so much. Before we take a little break so that you can top up your drinks and use the loo and buy some more mulled wine, we're going to just hear from the reason this event is on tonight. So my dear friend Ali Gaderi, a few years ago, started a company called the Babylon Migrants Project. So Babylon is a community interest company which runs creative activities for young people from refugee, asylum-seeking, and migrant backgrounds. They provide a safe and welcoming environment with workshops on subjects such as drama and storytelling, filmmaking, and art. They aim to address the disadvantage and exclusion experienced by refugees and asylum seekers living in the UK, boosting young people's confidence and providing them with the necessary tools to express themselves. So please welcome to the stage Babylon founder and director Ali Gaderi. He's coming in the window.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here today. Before I tell you more about Babylon, I'm going to tell you a secret about myself. And I told Emma just like earlier actually. So I was vegan for 2 years. And one of the main reasons I started being vegan was cheese. Many friends got disappointed, but now they're all eating cheese with me. So Babylon Migrants Project. I founded Babylon around 2 years ago. And Babylon is an organization that runs creative workshops such as theater, filmmaking, and dance for young people from asylum-seeking, refugee, and migrants backgrounds. And we run two hubs, one in London, and we have just established our second hub in Stoke-on-Trent. So now we have 2 hubs. And you might ask yourself why I founded Babylon. Well, I came to the UK as an asylum seeker myself. And when I got here, there was hardly any support for me. I had no friends, I didn't know anyone. And I didn't want the young people who are coming to the UK, just like myself, to feel the same as how I felt. So that's why I founded Babylon Migrants Project. And you guys might not know, but the asylum seekers are not allowed to work in this country. So when the government says the migrants are coming here to take your job, they can't even work in this country, the asylum seekers. And I want to ask you a question. So asylum seekers are not allowed to work, but they get some funding by government, by Home Office. How much do you think basically the Home Office gives to asylum seekers to live for 1 week? Any opinions?
£20.
£20? £10? £80? £8 a week. £8 a week to eat food, to drink, to buy clothes, to transport, everything. And imagine if you live in London as an asylum seeker. If you want to walk outside of your accommodation, you have to pay £8 and all your money is gone. So for that reason, all of our workshops are free for the people that we are supporting, and we always cover the transport costs for them, and we always provide food for them. And that's because, there are many cases that the accommodation who are providing food for asylum seekers are giving very bad quality food. So we provide food for them. But also we try to get food from different parts of the world in where our participants are coming from. so they can basically, remember the taste of home. So I just want to give massive thanks to all of you who came today to support Babylon and for getting some mulled wine. There is some more left if you want to have some more. And again, it's donation. If you like, you can give. If you don't want to, it's there for you. And I want to give a massive thanks to our participants for being so great. And some of them are here. So thanks to our participants. And my last thanks and very big thanks goes to Kevin and The Biggest Smoke. And I'm going to tell you why. I met Kevin around 3-4 years ago. I was performing, he was directing me. And then we became very good friends because he's just amazing. And since I founded Babylon, he has been a massive supporter of Babylon. With fundraising, connections, helping me to meet new people, making new friends, that some of them are here. And yeah, you're such an angel, man. And I love you very much. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
It's time to sit back, sip your mulled wine, go back in time a little bit. We're going to hear from two lovely storytellers, actors. Let me tell you a little bit about them. Hollie Hales is an actor and voice artist whose audio work includes Tales of a Monstrous Heart by Jennifer Delaney, Milk by Joanna Woolfarth, and Bookishly Ever After by Mia Page. She narrates on the latest episode of the Charles Dickens' A Brain on Fire podcast, delving into the stories and headlines of the Gordon riots of 1780. And Adam Cunis is an actor whose recent work includes A Midsummer Night's Dream at the Bridge Theatre and Macbeth storytelling and The Woman in the Moon at the Globe Theatre's Sam Wanamaker Playhouse. His audio work includes the Outliers podcast with historic royal palaces and the Incident Room with the new diorama. So please give a warm welcome as they come to the stage, Hollie Hales, Adam Cunis.
Tonight, we journey back to the winter of 1939, to a story born from the heart during challenging times. It was 1939, a year when the world seemed heavy with worry. The Great Depression still cast its shadow, and whispers of war echoed across the Atlantic. Yet, in Chicago, a young father named Robert L. May sat at his desk, grappling with a challenge unlike any other.
Robert wasn't a famous writer. He worked as a copywriter for Montgomery Ward, a department store chain. His job? To write catchy ads and promotional materials. But that Christmas season, his boss had an unusual request.
The store had decided to create an original children's book as a giveaway. Something festive, something magical, and it was Robert's job to write it.
It wasn't just a writing assignment. For Robert, it became a lifeline. His wife, Evelyn, was gravely ill with cancer, and the medical bills were piling up. At home, their young daughter, Barbara, watched her father struggle to keep hope alive.
Robert felt like an outsider in his own life. He'd always been a small man, shy and introverted, often teased as a child. Now, as an adult, those feelings of inadequacy lingered. He wondered, could he really write a story that would bring joy to others?
One evening, as he looked out the window of his modest apartment on a particularly foggy night, an idea began to take shape. He thought about the stories he loved as a boy, fairy tales and fables about underdogs, characters who turned their weaknesses into strengths. One story in particular, Hans Christian Andersen's The Ugly Duckling, stayed with him.
Robert started scribbling notes. What if he wrote about someone who didn't fit in, someone who was different, but instead of a duckling, something more festive, connected to the Christmas myths and stories we all love?
Don't spoil it. Let's not give it away just yet.
Right. Well, Robert poured his heart into the story. Late at night, after tucking Barbara into bed, he would sit at his desk, sketching out a tale of courage, resilience, and the magic of being true to yourself.
Barbara became his sounding board. She sat beside him as he worked, offering ideas and encouragement. What should he be called? Reginald? Rollo? Romeo? Together they imagined a reindeer who, on one foggy Christmas Eve, would light the way, saving Christmas for all the world's children.
But not everyone believed in the story. Back then, a glowing red nose was associated with drunkenness, not Christmas cheer. When presented with the idea, Robert's supervisors at Montgomery Ward were skeptical, but he didn't give up.
Months into the project, his wife sadly passed away. His boss offered to take the job off his plate, but he refused to stop, saying,
"I need Rudolph now more than ever."
Finally, in December of 1939, the story was printed. It was an instant hit. Families across America fell in love with its message, that being different can be your greatest gift. The success of this little story, and the subsequent song written by May's brother-in-law and made famous by Gene Autry, took care of his family to the end of his life and beyond.
And now, we'd like to share that story with you, just as it was told all those years ago. Listen closely and let yourself be transported to a snowy Christmas Eve where a little reindeer's light shines bright.
When you hear the story and its playful, childlike rhymes, imagine little Barbara, Robert's first audience. She needed hope. She needed something to believe in. This was what her father gave her for Christmas that year. Her and millions of children around the world, especially those who identify as a little different from the rest.
Close your eyes, if you like, and let your imagination take flight.
'Twas the day before Christmas, and all through the hills, the reindeer were playing, enjoying the spills.
Of skating and coasting and climbing the willows, and hopscotch and leapfrog protected by pillows.
While every so often they'd stop to call names at one little deer not allowed in their games.
Ha ha! Look at Rudolph! His nose is a sight! It's red as a beet, twice as big, twice as bright.
While Rudolph just wept, what else could he do?
He knew that the things they were saying were true.
Where most reindeers' noses are brownish and tiny, poor Rudolph's was red, very large, and quite shiny.
In daylight, it dazzled, no doubt about that. At nighttime, it glowed like the eyes of a cat.
And putting dirt on it just made it look muddy. Oh boy, was he mad when they nicknamed him Ruddy.
Although he was lonesome, he always was good, obeying his parents as good reindeer should.
That's why, on this day, Rudolph almost felt playful. He hoped that from Santa, soon driving his sleigh full
of presents and candy, dollies and toys for good little animals, good girls and boys,
he'd get just as much, and this is what pleased him, as the happier, handsomer reindeer who teased him.
As night and a fog hid the world like a hood,
he went to bed hopeful. He knew he'd been good.
While way, way up north on this same foggy night, old Santa was packing his sleigh for its flight.
"This fog,"
he complained,
"will be hard to get through."
He shook his round head and his tummy shook too.
"Without any stars or a moon as a compass, this extra dark night is quite likely to swamp us. To keep from collisions, we'll have to fly slow. To keep our direction, we'll have to fly low. We'll steer by the street lamps and houses tonight in order to finish before it gets light. Just think how the boys' and girls' faith would be shaken if we didn't reach 'em before they awaken. Come, Dasher, come Dancer, come Prancer and Vixen, come Comet, come Cupid, come Donner and Blitzen. Be quick with your suppers, get hitched in a hurry. You too will find fog, a delay and a worry.
And Santa was right, as he usually is. The fog was as thick as a soda's white fizz.
Just not getting lost required all Santa's skill, with street signs and numbers more difficult still.
He tangled in treetops again and again and barely missed hitting a tri-motored plane.
He still made good speed with much twisting and turning, as long as the street lamps and house lights were burning.
At each house, first noting the people who live there, he'd quickly select the right presents to give there.
By midnight, however, the last light had fled, for even big people have then gone to bed.
Because it might wake them, a match was denied him. Oh my, how he wished for just one star to guide him.
Through dark streets and houses, old Santa fared poorly. He now picked the presents more slowly, less surely.
He really was worried. For what would he do if folks started waking before he was through?
The air was still foggy, the night dark and drear.
When Santa arrived at the home of the deer.
A ledge that he tripped on while seeking the chimney gave Santa a spill and a painfully skinned knee.
The room he came down in was blacker than ink.
He went for a chair and then found it in a sink.
The first reindeer bedroom was so very black.
He tripped on the rug and fell flat on his back.
So dark that he had to move close to the bed and squint very hard on the sleeping deer's head.
Before he could choose the right kind of toy.
A doll for a girl or a train for a boy?
But all this took time and filled Santa with gloom, while slowly he groped toward the next reindeer's room.
The door he'd just opened, when to his surprise, a dim but quite definite light met his eyes.
The light wasn't burning. The glow came instead from something that lay at the head of the bed.
And there lay, but wait now, what would you suppose? The glowing, you've guessed it, was Rudolph's red nose.
So this room was easy. This one little light.
Let Santa pick quickly the gifts that were right.
How happy he was. Till he went out the door. The rest of the house was as black as before.
So black that it made every step a dark mystery.
And then came the greatest idea in all history.
He went back to Rudolph and started to shake him.
Of course, very gently, in order to wake him.
And Rudolph could scarcely believe his own eyes. You can just imagine his joy and surprise.
At seeing who stood there, so real and so near, while telling the tale we've already told here. Poor Santa's sad tale of distress and delay, the fog and the darkness, and losing his way.
The horrible fear that some children might waken before his complete Christmas trip had been taken.
And you,
he told Rudolph,
may yet save the day. Your wonderful forehead may yet pave the way for a wonderful triumph. It actually might.
Old Santa, you notice, was extra polite to Rudolph regarding his wonderful forehead. To call it a big shiny nose would sound horrid.
I need you,
said Santa,
to help me tonight, to lead all my deer on the rest of our flight.
And Rudolph broke out into such a big grin, it almost connected his ears and his chin.
A note for his folks he dashed off in a hurry.
I've gone to help Santa,
he wrote.
Do not worry,
said Santa.
My sleigh I'll bring down to the lawn. You'd stick in the chimney.
And flash, he was gone.
So Rudolph pranced out through the door very gay and took his proud place at the head of the sleigh.
The rest of the night, well, what would you guess? Old Santa's idea was a brilliant success.
And brilliant was almost no word for the way that Rudolph directed the deer and the sleigh.
In spite of the fog, they flew quickly and low, and made such use of the wonderful glow.
From Rudolph's forehead at each intersection, that not even once did they lose their direction.
While as for the houses and streets with a sign on them, they merely flew close so that Rudolph could shine on them.
To tell who lived where and just what to give whom, they'd fly by each window and peek in the room.
Old Santa knew always which children were good, and minded their parents, and ate as they should.
So Santa selected the gift that was right, while Rudolph's forehead just gave enough light.
It all went so fast that before it was day, the very last present was given away.
The very last stocking was filled to the top, just as the sun was preparing to pop.
The sun woke the reindeer in Rudolph's hometown. They found the short message that he'd written down.
Then gathered outside to await his return. And were they excited, astonished to learn
that Rudolph, the ugliest deer of them all, Rudolph, the red-nose, bashful and small, the funny-faced fellow they'd always called names and practically never allowed in their games,
was now to be envied by all far and near, for no greater honour can come to a deer
than riding with Santa and guiding his sleigh, the number one job on the number one day.
The sleigh and its reindeer soon came into view, and Rudolph still led them as downward they flew.
Oh boy, was he proud as they came to a landing, right where his handsome playmates were standing.
These bad deer who used to nothing but tease him would now have done anything only to please him.
They felt even sorrier they had been bad when Santa said, "Rudolph, I never have had a deer quite so brave or so brilliant as you, at fighting black fog and at guiding me through. By you, last night's journey was actually bossed. Without you, I'm certain we'd all have been lost. I hope you'll continue to keep us from grief on future dark trips as Commander-in-Chief."
But Rudolph just blushed from his head to his toes until his whole fur was as red as his nose.
The crowd first applauded, then started to screech,
"Hooray for our Rudolph! And we want a speech!" But Rudolph was bashful despite being a hero, and tired. His sleep on the trip totaled 0.
So that's why his speech was just brief and not bright.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
And that's why,
whenever it's foggy and grey, it's Rudolph the Red-Nose who guides Santa's sleigh.
Be listening this Christmas, but don't make a peep, 'cause that late at night, children should be asleep.
The very first sound that you'll hear on the roof, provided there's fog, will be Rudolph's small hoof.
And soon after that, if you're still as a mouse, you may hear a swish as he flies round the house.
And gives enough light to give Santa view of you and your room. And when they're all through,
you may hear them call as they drive out of sight.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
It's time for more cheese. Let's give Emma another round of applause as she comes to the stage. We're going to start handing out our next course. Okay, we're going to talk about the first cheese, just so we can get tasting right away. Tell us which cheese it is, what we should do, guide us through this lovely plate for the listener. They're quite different, I'm going to say, for the listener at home. One is on a cracker, looks very spreadable. One has some multicolors, and one looks a lovely kind of hard quality to it.
Yep.
That's my analysis.
This
Take
is
it
good,
away.
yeah. The first cheese we're going to try right now is the one on the cracker. So if we look at this cheese, it is very white. It is almost, well, it was spreadable. And the cracker is basically a vessel. You don't have to eat the cracker if you don't want to, but go dive straight in. And while you're diving in, I'll talk about it. So this is a cheese which is from France. It is a very texture-driven cheese. So we've talked a lot about flavour, aroma. I mentioned a little bit earlier about how the mouthfeel affects our enjoyment of cheese. And this is one for me which is very much about the texture. It's not the most complex. It's quite lovely and salty. It's creamy. It's slightly citrusy. But the creamy element is what we're here for. And this is a cheese called Délice de Bourgogne. So it is like another very popular cheese called from France, called Brillat Savarin. And it is a triple cream cheese, which means it's very healthy.
Triple healthy.
Triple healthy. As I said, it's very rich, it's indulgent, it is about the texture, it is not healthy, I'm not going to lie. Like, we don't want to eat a whole one. I mean, I'd love to. We could maybe eat a whole one.
This might be my favorite. What do you guys think of this one? It's a good one. I was just popped into my head. How often do you eat cheese not for work? Approximately. Just curious.
I mean, I've usually got some pocket cheese going on. I've got some like bag cheese. It is it's.
That's the one that smells like feet.
It's a bit of an addiction. I mean, it's quite nice to be able to work in a subject in an industry where it's enjoyable as well as something that I am specialised in. So cheese is brilliant. I've never been cheesed out apart from one time when I had one time after a very long Christmas shift, my colleague and I decided after 14 hours of packing cheese for other people to have a raclette on our own. So it wasn't one of those little scoopy guys, it was one of the big industrial raclette machines. So we had half a cheese, it was 3 kilos, and a magnum of white wine. I had to sort of roll myself on the floor afterwards to sort of push it down. But that's the only time I've been cheesed out. But because there's so much variety, so much interest, so many different flavours, it's really lovely. You don't get bored.
Yeah. Should we do the next
Yeah,
one?
let's
Tell
do
us
it.
about the next
Yeah.
cheese.
So we're going to do it in a bit of a weird order. So usually you finish with a blue, right? So we're not going to do that because I like to mix it up. We are going to go to the blue next. Who dislikes blue in the room? That is about a third, maybe more. Just throwing it out there, what is it about blue that you dislike? Mold.
Mold.
Yeah.
Don't like the smell, did someone say?
Too much.
It's
Scary.
scary.
Yeah. I mean, these are all very valid points. So blue mold looks quite graphic. It is something that we are sort of tuned into with food in general to avoid blue. Blue mold is something that we learn, okay, the bread is blue, that means it's not quite right. This food has gone blue, that's not quite right. However, with blue cheese, we are choosing specific blue mold strains to go into the cheese. So it's not any blue or a mold which is growing in the cupboard over there. They are specific strains which are introduced. And the way that blue cheeses are made is that blue mold, which is typically Penicillium roqueforti, which comes from the Roquefort region, or Penicillium glaucum, which is slightly milder. And those are introduced into the milk at the beginning of the process. So they lie dormant until the cheese is ready to mature. And to make those blues grow, you need to pierce the cheese. You need to allow air to get into the cheese in order for the blue to grow.
I was just going to say for the listener at home, so it's a bit crumbly.
Yes.
Which is nice. It's not too strong of a taste. I just tasted it.
Most of our first experience with blue cheese is from a supermarket. It's where my first blue experience was. And for supermarket cheeses, you need to allow those to get blue very quickly in order for the price to be accessible. What happens in that respect is you have to introduce the blue at a very, very early stage and a lot of it in order for it to look good and for it to taste blue from an early stage. By allowing the cheese to mature first. You're allowing that cheese to develop, and then the blue's introduced, so it's more balanced instead of just spicy metallic acid. And that's why Stilton, which sometimes has a bad rep for being quite spicy and piquant, isn't really, because the buttery flavours, the savoury cereal elements of the cheese come through as well.
I'm curious, while we're talking about blue, Christmas time, Stilton, why is that a thing? Can you tell us a little bit? What's the obsession with Stilton and blue kind of around Christmas specifically?
I mean, there's a sort of a technical reason for it, but I don't think that's why everyone eats Stilton. So technically there are 2 rainier seasons in the UK, and that's in spring and late summer. So the late summer rainy season means the grass starts to grow again. The cows, which are out on pasture, are eating some lush, beautiful grass, which then translates into great milk, which translates into good cheese. So if you're thinking about a Stilton, which is generally about 3 months when it's eaten, when we sell it, that's Christmas time. So it's a really, really good time to eat Stilton. Even though it's not a seasonal cheese, there is a lot of variation in the time that you eat it. So that's the typical side, but then there's that we just like blue and we don't know why, but now it's tradition and we just do it.
And lots of rich foods at Christmas time and things. Let's go on to our final cheese. The surprise final cheese.
So, surprise final cheese. I've gone with a real wild card. So I have done a Christmas cheese board without a cheddar. Shock horror. What? Kick me out. Kick me out.
Get out.
Stop it.
Throw
You're supposed to be an expert. So, does anyone know what this cheese might be? Have you tasted it? Any other guesses?
Parmesan, Pecorino, what else?
What was that? Absolutely, yes. There we go. 10 points to lovely sequin lady in the middle.
Oh, she gets another cheese prize.
God, you got all the prizes.
What did she say?
Grana Padano.
Grana Padano.
So, we generally use this for grating like a parmesan. It's for, let's put it on pasta. Let's use it as an ingredient. However, for me, a good Parmigiano Reggiano, a Grana Padano should be on a cheese board. It's quite funny that we sort of categorize it and dismiss it as an ingredient and a grating cheese. But if you taste this, it's got all of the same qualities as a Gruyere, a Comté, a cheddar. It's got a lot of sweetness, it's round, it's got a lot of complexity, it's salty. And
it's very good.
I really
So this
like
is even more like almost dry, I would describe for the listener.
Exactly.
Crumbly
So
as well,
Grana Padano, the term grana actually means sort of granular or grain. So cheeses like Parmigiano Reggiano and Grana Padano, we call them grana styles because they have that real granularity. And when they're made, the curd size, so to make a cheese, you have to cut the curd into big pieces for soft cheeses or small pieces for hard cheeses. So with small pieces, you're having the maximum surface area, you're expelling lots of whey, you want it to be really, really hard. So these are tiny little rice grains, so it's a grana style. And for me, this is a cheese which just has so much complexity and age on it that it's quite funny that we don't really eat it on a cheese board. So I thought I'd see what the room thinks. What do you think? Yeah.
Good one.
Nice.
I think you've got a bit of a cheese quiz that you're going to spread all over the audience here.
So Kevin and I were talking about some fun things to do with cheese, and there's sort of some
Other
elements.
than eat it.
Apart from eat it, that was the most fun part. But cheese names are quite specific, quite unique, and there are lots of quizzes around cheese or service station, cheese or something else. So what I've done is a very silly quiz, quite niche, and I've done 2 sections. It's cheese, French cheese or castle. And the second section is Italian cheese or Italian girl's name.
I love it.
So we're going to do the French section first. So it's cheese or castle. So I think just shout at me, really.
Should they shout or should you go shout for castle, shout for cheese?
I don't know. Like, how do you want to do it? You tell me. You're the host.
Let's do shout for castle, shout so we can hear.
All right, fine. So
you're listening for cheese or castle for the first one. French cheese or castle?
This is so niche.
If you know your cheeses or your castles, you're going to be good at this one.
All right, here we go. So the first one is Roquin.
Give us a shout for cheese. Give us a shout for castle.
Very good, you know your castles. That is a castle in the Ardennes. Well done.
All right, the next one, cheese or castle?
Celle-sur-Cher.
And give us a cheer for cheese. Give us a cheer for castle.
Oh, you guys.
Oh.
Seltzer is a cheese. Yes, it is from the Loire Valley. It's a goat's cheese. Very good. Wait for it. It does get harder. Montmort.
Give us a shout for cheese. Give us a shout for castle. That one's pretty
What was
even.
that? Yeah, which one was it?
I think castle was slightly more.
Well, you're winning. It's a blooming castle. Well done. All right, here we go. This one's hard.
Okay, here's a difficult one. Cheese or castle? Here we go.
Neufchâtel.
Give us a cheer for cheese. Give us a cheer for castle.
It is a cheese.
Oh, I love it.
Very good.
Should we
Châtel means castle, but it is a cheese from Normandy.
Let's do cheese or girl's name.
Let's do it. This is fun.
Okay, so Italian cheese or Italian girl's name. Here we go.
I had so much fun doing
girl's
this.
name
This is really
or
ridiculous.
cheese. Okay, here we go. Give us the first one.
All right. Stracciatella.
Give us a cheer for cheese. Give us a cheer for girl's name.
Good. We started
Okay, we
easy.
started.
Wait
Yeah,
for
we're good.
it.
We're good.
Wait
We're
for
good.
it. All right. Which one shall I do? Bagheria.
Okay, so give us a cheer for cheese. Give us a cheer for girl's name.
Very good. It is a historic girl's name, which means gritty soil.
Ooh,
very good.
That could
very
be the
good.
description of a cheese as well. Okay, shall we do two more?
Just
Here
do
we
two
go.
more. Fabiola.
And give us a cheer for cheese. Give us a cheer for name.
Very good.
You got it.
Fabiola means bean grower. Another beautiful name.
I love that. Let's do, okay, one more. This is the final one. Let's
All right,
see,
hold
can we
on.
get it? Is it a cheese or is it a girl's Italian name?
All right, hold on. Give me a sec. Let me choose the best one. Okay.
Which one is it going to be?
Tiziana.
And give us a cheer for cheese. Give us a cheer for girl's name.
Really? Like, for me, that was a cheese name. It is a girl's name. Well done. It means giant.
Give
There we
yourselves
go.
a round of applause.
Very good.
As we come towards the end of the evening, we're almost there. There's a segment that we do on the podcast that we call Parish Notices, and all that is the title for how you are fostering a sense of connection or community. Emma, do you have any parish notices, or how are you connecting over the holiday season?
I have several, but I'm going to keep it to two. Keeping the cheese theme, one of the things that I like to do in my road, we have a bit of a cheese and wine night during Christmas. So we have a lovely road community. Everyone likes each other, which is weird and quite abnormal for London. But I bring along loads of cheese. We all sort of stand outside our doors, have a nice little time, gather around, have a lovely little community atmosphere, which is quite weird for London.
I just want to quickly say, when
don't
we
know,
were
you live in
first
London.
chatting, this is the thing, for London, I was very shocked at this, because when I was chatting with Emma, while we were on the phone discussing this, a fishmonger just randomly knocked on the door. He had extra fish, and he wanted to know if she wanted some. And I thought, that does not happen at my place in Soho, so I was very impressed.
I did buy the prawns. I
And
bought a
she
load
bought
of
the prawns.
Yeah.
She bought the prawns.
They were quite good.
And
My
and
second
Emma
one-
has one more parish notice, so what would that be for us?
My second one is a little bit silly but cute. So I have pet chickens. So I have ex-battery rescue hens at home, and they clap for the ex-bats. Yeah. So they are chickens which have basically come to the end of their laying career and would otherwise have been going to other places. And there is a charity called the British Hen Welfare Trust who essentially go to the farms who are about to move these chickens onto elsewhere, and they take them and see if anyone wants to adopt them. So that's a thing that I've done for the last sort of 6 years, and there's lots of things which I like to do in terms of just raising a bit of money for them, donating some money to these poor expats who are absolutely gorgeous. They're like rescue any other animal. They're actually really cute. So I guess those are my two, which are quite niche.
I love it. Please give a big round of applause for Emma Young, everybody. In each episode, we like to hear how you are fostering connection and community. This is particularly important during these dark winter days. We call this a parish notice.
My name's Helena, and over the holiday, I'm going to the Panto with my old school friends. So instead of giving each other presents, we're buying panto tickets and going to the panto in Glasgow.
My name is Art Terry. I'm a musician, songwriter, composer. And what I'm doing to make connection in the near future, over the holidays in the near future, is to do these special concerts, which includes a lot of people who've never met each other. I'm going to be asking them to go beyond their comfort zone and to play styles of music they may not have ever done before, like improvisational skills, yeah. As one of the great improvisational musicians said, I don't want you to play what you know, I want you to play what you don't know.
Hi, my name's Cait Roddam Jones, and my way to connect is with my 3 little dogs, 2 Jack Russells and a sausage dog. And I talk to people in the forest. I give their dogs, with their permission, treats, and we get talking. I especially like talking to elderly people with their dogs, and we have a laugh about how crazy our dogs are, and we absolutely love it. And it's a wonderful way to connect with people I might not have the fortune to talk to in the community as much. So, yeah, lovely.
Hi, my name is Cheryl, and my parish notice is over the holidays, we've invited what I thought was going to be about 35 people into our small condo for a party, but it's turning out to more like 50, so I'm hoping to be able to catch up with many of our friends that we don't see very often.
Hi, I'm Yuna. I'm an asylum seeker with Babylon Migrant Project. And one way I'm going to find community in this period leading up to Christmas is that I'm going to be performing with a few asylum seekers and refugees. And I'm going to celebrate Christmas with my asylum and refugee friends. All of us do not have family here, so we are like our own family made up of like refugees from like different countries.
Hi, I'm Chelsea, and I'm finding connections this holidays by having a friendmas, but it's with a slight twist as that we are having a Hogwarts Christmas dinner that we do annually, and we all have to dress up. So it's me and my closest friends. They just come over for magical night dressed as Harry Potter characters, and yeah.
Hi, I'm Andrea. So over the holiday, I'm going to go home. I'm from Italy, and all of my family is over there. We're probably going to listen to this podcast now. And and yeah, we're going to have an amazing time. A lot of food and a lot of snooze after having a lot of food and wine. And yeah, so yeah, just family time coming soon.
Hi, so my name is Fiona. I'm here with Bonnie, Alice, Louise, and Claire. And we all sing in a choir. So one of the things that, we've all met each other through this choir. We form incredible friendships and really meaningful experiences over the years. And one of the things that we're doing this festive season is singing together. And that just creates such a lovely emotional kind of moment and a bond and a really natural sense of kind of blending and harmony, which you can't get in any other hobby, really.
My name is Hamid. So the plan for me is to invite some of my friends from different cities, and then I want to cook something for them because it's a very interesting time of the year. So there's no pressure of work, and it's just connection with your friends, family, and people you know or you're close with.
Hi, my name is Henry, and one of the main ways that I connect over the Christmas period is I love getting creative in the kitchen. Like I do a lot of cooking, I bake a lot, I also make cocktails. So, I'm basically non-stop all day, every day during that time. And it's a brilliant way to kind of bring people together and to kind of express that creativity.
Hi, my name is Adam, and how I'm finding connection over the holidays is we are driving all around the country to see basically everyone in our families, starting on Wednesday next week. So I think we're traveling every 2 days for 2 weeks to somewhere new. So that's what we're doing. Only partially because the heating in the flat's broken.
Hello, I'm Hollie. And the way I will be finding connection this Christmas is that my cousins, who I've seen very sporadically, sort of every few years, gone over to America and seen them, and they were in Colorado, in Denver, and they've recently moved to Harrogate. So that is quite a big culture shock for them. So it means that I will get to spend Christmas with my American cousins, and I'm very excited about it.
Hi, my name is Ali, and with Babylon Migrants Project, we are organizing a Halloween Christmas party. and that's because our participants wanted to celebrate Halloween, and because our participants are coming from all around the world, and they celebrate Christmas very differently to the British people. So we wanted to basically introduce the other cultures to our British members, but also it's going to be a mixture of some British tradition in our celebration as well. So it's going to be a mixture of both, introducing the Christmas to each other.
So we've got one more thing here, which is the lovely Joe and Cait. Let me tell you a little bit about them. So Cait Roddam Jones is an actor, writer, and musician from Surrey. She trained with the National Youth Theatre before going on to work with Shakespeare's Globe for various projects with their youth theatre and inaugural Young Company. In August 2023, she staged her debut one-woman play, The Girl with the Glass Heart, at the Camden People's Theatre, and she is currently studying English literature at King's College London. Joe Atkins is a composer, arranger, and musical director who works with both theatre and concert. He's composed music for the Young Vic, Opera North, and British Youth Music Theatre, and collaborated on projects with the Royal Shakespeare Company, the Globe, the Public Theatre in New York, and l'Opéra Comique in Paris. Never afraid of a challenge, he's orchestrated Barbra Streisand for the Brig House and Rastrick Brass Band, and Baroque harpsichord covers of Beyoncé for BBC Radio 3. He's even arranged Giles Terrera's ditties and compositions for The Big Smoke. So all the music that you listen to when you listen to the podcast, played and arranged by Joe. So please give them a round of applause.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Everywhere you go, take a look at the 5 and 10. It's glistening once again with candy canes and silver lanes aglow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store, but the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. A pair of hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots is the wish of Janice and Jen. Dolls that will walk and will go for a talk is the hope of Alice and Ben. And Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will start. There's a tree in the Grand Hotel, one in the park as well. It's the sturdy kind that doesn't mind the snow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Yes, soon the bells will start, and the thing that will make them ring is the carol that you sing right within your heart. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store, but the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kevin Bennett, and this has been The Big Smoke. Well, so long until we meet again. I'm so glad that you were here, my friends. And the time may be fast, but good friendships will last. So everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.